This video will be going over the timing cover gasket on all 12 valve engines. It's super simple, straightforward. I'll take you through start to finish. It's nearly identical for first and second gen Dodge trucks. I will be sure to point out the differences for the two, and this might arguably be one of the easiest things to do on these trucks. First thing you're going to want to do is remove the coolant from the radiator. Once you have that done, you can start taking the radiator and the fan shroud out of the truck. Once the two clips are out, the fan shroud is free. Then on each side of the radiator there's going to be two mounting bolts. The difference between first and second gen trucks: the fan shroud is going to have two bolts on each side, and then the radiator itself will have either one or two bolts on each side, and it will be from this direction. Once these bolts are out, you can then lift up the radiator to remove it. Then your fan shroud can come out. On second gen models, the coolant overflow reservoir as well as the washer fluid reservoir are connected to the fan shroud, and those should pop out accordingly. So that is the only difference there as far as removal. Now go ahead and remove the serpentine belt. The next thing you're going to be looking to remove is this fan. Now this fan is notoriously tricky, and there's a couple different options that you can use depending on your tool availability. If you have an air chisel or something similar, you can get at this nut right here, and it's righty-loosey. I do not have that, and so I'm going to be showing the easiest method to use with just a 10mm wrench, which includes unbolting all of these smaller bolts here individually, which will loosen this cap, which will then allow for access to these bolts here. There's 4 bolts, and the whole fan can come off as one piece. But as you can see, the fan and the fan pulley move independently of one another. So to hold this pulley in place, we'll be using a larger C-clamp, securely fastening it like that, and then go ahead and remove these bolts. And now this hub is free, so you can remove the clamp. So you can move this hub back towards the fan, and now you have access to these bolts. Okay, the next thing you're going to have to remove is this tach sensor here, and it is important to note the position that it is on for reinstallation. And this bolt is already loose by hand, so I'm going to have to just take this out all the way. The last thing to be removed here is this harmonic dampener, and it is 4 15mm bolts, and then you should be able to tap it with a hammer a couple times and it'll break free and come off. Alright, apparently I failed to record the last step I did, but all I did was remove the harmonic dampener, and that actually came off by hand. I went ahead and started scraping off some of the cover and the seams where the cover connects to the rest of the engine, just to minimize the amount of debris going in as the cover comes off. Alright, when you have it cleaned up a bit, you can go ahead and remove all of the bolts. They are all 10mm heads. Keep in mind which bolts come from which hole, because some are longer than others, and it's important that you put them back correctly. And there is going to be a seal down here as you pull the cover off that may be restrictive, but if you give it a left to right motion, it should come off relatively easily. If you do end up using any form of brake cleaner or something, be sure when you're ready to put the cover back on that you spray down the gears or any area that might have gotten brake cleaner with WD-40 or an equivalent oil-based product. I'll go ahead and get the timing cover cleaned up and ready for reinstallation. Alright, I've got the cover cleaned up. It's not perfect, but it's better. I also tapped out the crank seal, and the reinstallation for that seal will occur after the cover is reapplied to the truck. So now I'll get some RTV lined on it and the gasket put on, and then it'll be ready to go back on the truck. When reinstalling the harmonic balancer, the positioning does not matter. With this type of repair, it is a good idea to let it sit overnight, for example, to allow for the RTV to cure. So to help that process, I'm going to leave the oil cap off just to allow for airflow into the space. And while I have this access, I'm going to also be replacing the belt tensioner because it is not thriving. You can see the level of wear. Who knows how long this has been on, but there's a definite difference. Got the new tensioner ready to put in. The only thing to pay attention to on this is there's one little nub right here, and all that does is go into this groove right here. Now the fan is ready to be put back. We got the 6 bolts on this cap here. Serpentine belt can be reinstalled. Now is a good time to inspect it, make sure it doesn't have any cracks or any unusual wear. Now we can go ahead and add the fan shroud and the radiator. Now we can go ahead and secure the fan shroud. Go ahead and reconnect the upper and lower radiator hoses. The final step is to add coolant. Add as much as you can, burp the system, take it for a drive, let it cool off, recheck the level, add more if necessary, and you're all good to go.